What's up, guys? Brian here from Body by Brian Fitness. Um, I wanted to do a quick video um, regarding a documentary that I saw back in 2013. Um, I've, it's one of those things where, like, you've seen the documentary once and you've seen it 20 million more times because you're so hooked on it. It's called High on Crack Street. And it's about three individuals that live in Lowell, Massachusetts. Bobo, Gary Guafita, aka Gary Guafita, Brenda, who is an inspiring actress and model, who's this rail thin woman that has the typical look of a crackhead, that's, a prostitute, a drug, she prostitutes to get her drugs. Um, Dickie Eklund, who is a famous boxer who's hooked on drugs, and they all live, the life of crack addicts and trying to support their habit. Dickie commits crimes and robberies and stuff like that, and he gets sentenced to prison later on for armed robbery with a shot-off shotgun, and gets arrested in 1995 for it and isn't eligible for parole in 99, which he got out, obviously. Um, I'm kind of skimming through this whole plot to get to the point here. Uh, Brenda's on again, off again boyfriend, Boo Boo, Gary Guafita. Um, those two end up sharing, crack, smoking crack together, and they end up, injecting crack too. And Bobo was sharing needles with her and ended up getting HIV from it, which apparently he's still alive. From what I know, he's been alive for over 20 years. Um, so I want to get right to the point here. The point of the video I want to make is because of Brenda, because I have never seen, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to get in trouble for this, for making a comment, but I feel like no one else on YouTube has actually talked about this documentary like the way I'm doing it, so I figured I would. This video is going to be mainly about Brenda. Now, she's a really interesting person. I read comments on the internet about the documentary about her, and people say she's worthless. And well, let me. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just take it a little step here at a time. Basically, she's hooked on crack, and the way she supports her crack habit is by being a hooker. She hooks to support her crack habit, and she, during the time of her addiction, she hooks to support her drug habit, and she also has sex with Bobo or Boo Boo or Gary Guafita, however you want to word it. And basically, speeding the documentary up a little bit, she finds out she's pregnant. So she goes to the doctor and she finds out, okay, this is the sick, twisted part of it. She at first finds out she's pregnant. So then she decides, okay, do I want to keep this baby or do I want to abort it? And, because she even thinks about doing something like that. That's just how sick and twisted this bitch is. She talks about, she just talks out of her ass and says, oh, I'm gonna abort this kid for $395 because, no child deserves a drug addict for a mother. And reverting back, when she was 15, which I believe she was 15 in like 1975, maybe, I don't know, or 73 or whatever, but she was forced to have an abortion then, though. I mean, she was 15. Her parents wanted her to get an abortion. So basically, she ends up getting pregnant again. She tells her parents about it. She's like, "Hi, Dad, how are you doing? Well, I'm 5 months pregnant. I never thought I'd be this far along." And she decided she wanted to keep the baby and raise it and this and that. She gets off the phone with her dad and she says he wants her to get an abortion. And he's like very adamant about it because he doesn't think that bringing a kid into the life of a crack addict mother would be a smart thing. Not only that, the more important thing is that kid would undoubtedly have complications due to her crack use. So her dad basically says to get an abortion, detox, and come home and start a whole new life rather than to have this kid in her life the rest of her life and be born into the way she lived her life. Follow-ups on the documentary, people have been constantly talking about that. You know, what happened to Brenda's baby. She did have the kid. Well, first of all, let me just say she died of a drug overdose on October 25th, 1995. And she ended up having the kid. What is that called? A foreword in a film where a follow-up, I think they call it a foreword too. I don't know, I might be wrong. But 6 months after the film was completed, she died of a drug overdose in 95. And she had the kid. It was alive and well. And apparently her parents are raising the child. Now, people have been constantly saying, you know, updates on the kid. He or she is probably 21 by now. Hopefully in college, living on her own, his or her own, having a good life. Now, with all of that out of the way, here's the main point I wanted to make in this video, something I've always wanted to do, because I've never seen a video on here talking about this, at least from what I know. So a lot of people on these forum topic websites that talk about movies and what they think of them, and you know one of those things. A lot of people are saying, you know, how could you have sympathy for someone who's a crack-headed mother, and you know, saying ignorant things like hopefully it'll be young enough to slaughter after, you know, going into the abortion clinic and all this crap. I view it differently than probably 95% of the population that watched that video in 95. And the reason I say that is because when she had the ultrasound done and she started seeing the baby on the ultrasound, she started tearing up because she developed such a strong attachment to that child. And then all of a sudden now she decides after the ultrasound she wants to keep the baby, she wants to detox and, you know, clean her life up. Well, she ended up making a priority list of all the things that she wanted to do. Laundry, abortion. I can't believe abortion was even on that list. I find it kind of strange that she decided to do that even after she found out about the baby and drew that attachment to her. But basically she had abortion, ultrasound, get bags and things from her ex-boyfriend Boo's house, get a job in an apartment, and do the laundry and all that. And she only accomplished like one goal, which was the laundry, and she called her parents. And then she spent the rest of the several weeks smoking crack. Well, Um, and like I said, I'm constantly, typical me, I'm jumping around too much here. Point being is this, and I know this isn't a popular answer. I have sympathy for Brenda, and I first watched this documentary in 2013, and I've just been hooked on it ever since. I've probably seen it 20 times already. Well, since I just saw it, probably 21 now, but I have sympathy for Brenda. I feel I look deeper deeper than the surface than what most people would probably view. Some people call her a crack-headed whore and a horrible human being and this and that. I view it differently. I think deep down inside, she is a very wonderful human being. But the crack just took over her life. I mean, you can tell multiple times that she tried to get sober. And she said when she went to rehab in the documentary, 60 days was the longest she'd ever was sober out of the 20 years. So do the math. She started getting hooked on crack back in like 1975 when she was 13 years old. So officially she's been doing it for 20 years because she was probably 33 in that documentary. I don't know. I've never changed my stance on that documentary. Every time I watch it, I get the same feeling. And I've seen it 20 times already. I have sympathy for Brenda. And I'm probably one of the 1% out of the population that thinks that. I have sympathy for her because I know she wanted to get sober and clean, but crack just took over her whole life. I don't know. I think about her every now and then. I don't know. It just touched me a little bit because I'm sympathetic towards certain people like that because you know that they want help, but it just takes over their whole life, you know. So just, comment below, guys. Just let me know what your views are on it. If you've seen the documentary, again, I'll show you the cover. It's High on Crack Street, Lost Lives in the Low. If you guys have ever seen that, or if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So, take care, guys.